Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video I'm going hunting for the best core in the Open Great League, Shadow Drapion plus Azumarill, and to do so, I'm using a very unusual moveset. Now part of the reason why the Azumarill plus Shadow Drapion core is absolutely everywhere is the fact that it doesn't really have any meta core breakers. So I'm trying to build my own. I'm running a Shadow Quagsire with the moveset of Mud Shot, Mud Bomb, and Sludge Bomb. A double bomb Quagsire. Is this moveset recommended? No, but I'm gonna test it out and see how it does. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and take a look at this team in action in the Open Great League. Hopping to the first match, leading Quagsire into Wigglytuff. Now Wigglytuff can tank any one move here, but they may not be expecting super effective damage from that Sludge Bomb. I send in the Drapion as they make it to the Swift. Swift is gonna connect, and they're going to switch out at the last second and send in Kanto Marowak. But they switched in the Marowak very late, allowing me to throw 3 in the move, and that actually allows me to make it to a second Aqua Tail here, which is very, very helpful. That's going to get that Marowak quite low. I send in the Dugong, and I'm going to go for a 1 shield farm down play. Opponent will bait with the Bone Club. Can they make it to another move? Clearly, whatever they had in back did not like ice, as they will immediately concede the match. Shadow Marowak's back with a vengeance in the next match, this time on the lead. Now, Aqua Tail, of course, would be a lot better here since it does hit for super effective damage, but even with Aqua Tail, Shadow Quagsire still loses the ones to Shadow Marowak. That's just how good Shadow Marowak is. So I'm going to commit in first shield, and now look to fire off the back-to-back Mud Bombs. Now, I can potentially have 2 ways of playing this. I can choose to just let the Quagsire go and go for farm on Dugong, or I can do what I did, which is go for 1 Mud Shot, a catch, and a sneak onto the Dugong. My opponent is going to answer with their own, but since I'm down quite a bit of HP, this is honestly not a good mirror to be in, so I'm going to go for an Icy Wind. I wouldn't even call this a bait, because I know they're never going to be shielding the Dugong mirror. My goal is just to increase the survivability of my Dugong, allowing me to tank 1 extra Drill Run, and therefore be able to get extra damage on my opponent. They are going to go for the Drill Run, and because of that attack drop, the next Drill Run's actually not going to KO now. I'm going to be able to tank this next Drill Run. They can't farm down, so the play to go for the Icy Wind actually ends up working out very, very nicely. This Dugong mirror going on for quite some time. I still don't know what they have in the back, and the unfortunate thing is since they still have a little bit of Marowak, that Marowak is going to be very difficult to Poison Sting down with the Drapion. Drill Run is going to pick up a knockout. In comes the Drapion. They do make a move, and I'm forced to commit the shield, even though it's probably going to be an Icy Wind. It is an Icy Wind. There's a switch to the Marowak. I send in the Quagsire, but I just can't get the farm down. Marowak able to hang on. Marowak, Bone Club picks up the knockout. In comes the Drapion. I do exit with a lot of energy, but I have taken some damage. In the back is my opponent's own Shadow Drapion, and unfortunately, I can't quite KO with 2 Aqua Tails and the Poison Stings. It's going to be very, very close, but I've played out this matchup enough to know that I just don't have the damage output that I need to win this game. I have the back-to-back Aqua Tails, but my opponent knows that does not KO, so we made it as close as we could, but unfortunately, we were not able to pull off that win. And I think if I could play it differently, I would let the Quagsire go and then go for Dugong Farm. We move to the next match, Shadow Quagsire versus Talonflame. I have 2 better responses in the back because I actually can't hit them for super effective damage like I normally can. So I throw 2 Mud Shots and save switch into the Drapion. They no-shield an Aqua Tail, dealing a ton of damage, and I'm more than happy to shield up the Drapion as they go for the fly. And now in comes more Peko. I throw 4, so I fire off the Aqua Tail before they make the Aura Wheel, as Aura Wheel would very easily knock me out. Opponent not going to risk me making another move, so they're going to full send the Aura Wheel, and that will be KOing the Drapion. Back in comes the Quagsire, and this is a situation where a Mud Bomb is nice. They survive an Aqua Tail, and they can make a Dark Aura Wheel, so they have every reason to no-shield, but they're just going to get KO'd. But in the back is Serperior, and this is incredibly bad. Serperior, of course, hitting for super effective damage on all of my remaining Pokemon. They go for the Frenzy Plant. I shield because I can now apply an Icy Wind debuff. So the Icy Wind into Serperior is going to be shielded. Serperior over farming quite a bit. They're now 2 past the Frenzy Plant as they're going to go for the move. It's debuff, so it doesn't 100% KO. There's a switch into Talonflame, and I need an undercharge of a lifetime to win this game. I undercharge the Icy Wind, switch into the Quagsire, 3 mud shots KO. They're 3 off the move with Superior, and I get there. The picture perfect undercharge. We make the Sludge Bomb on the CMP tie, knocking out Superior, and that's a good game. We get an opportunity for redemption in the next match. We lost to the last Shadow Marowak lead that we saw. So now, I'm going to try playing it the other way. The first time, I played it differently, and I didn't like how it went. So this time, I'm just going to play the ones and go for farm on Dugong and see if I like how that game plays out a bit better. They're going to go for the Bone Club. I'm going to go for the Mud Bomb. They know they can survive this. And then if they let it go, I'm actually going to let it go as well. My opponent is just going to throw the Bone Club after 1 more Mud Slap, and this does look like it's going to be 3 Ice Shard range. So I can bring in the Dugong, get the full farm down, and now I have a lot of energy, and of course it's almost always going to be Mud Slap plus Ice. In comes Dugong. I'm at a bit of a health disadvantage, but not nearly as much as last time, and I'm at a pretty significant energy advantage. So this matchup is basically going to turn into whoever throws the final charge move is going to be ahead. My opponent can go for the drill run, but it will not KO, and my opponent, unfortunately for them, is basically in double drill run range now. So I will fire off the drill run, although from here, since it's a cap tie, I'm actually going to switch out because I want energy on the Drapion. In the back is going to be Toxapex. That's honestly not what I was expecting to see, but seeing Toxapex, this should just be a completely winning situation for me. Crunch is going to land even without Crunch debuffs. I mean, 3 moves are still going to KO, so I should still be in a pretty nice spot. The Crunch is shielded, and my opponent does get debuffed. That's unfortunate for them. I tank any 1 move, so I let it go. If they went for the Sludge Wave, things could have got a little bit uncomfortable, as it does do slightly more damage than Brine. But either way, I knew that I could survive it and make a move. Opponent switches out into the Dugong. Dugong will be met with the Crunch. I'm going to go for an undercharge here onto the Dugong. Unfortunately, it does KO, but I'm still just in a winning position because I can make the drill run and I have an Aqua Tail banked. I was hoping to put it into like 1 HP range where then I could have got an extra Ice Shard of energy advantage, but the good news is we're still going to get the win. As Drapion has the Aqua Tail loaded, we have the much higher attack stat than Toxapex, and we're able to take the win. We've got a battle of content creators in the next match as I go up against fellow YouTuber Chillis FM. Now, Drapion in this matchup, much like the Morpeko matchup, can pretty comfortably tank an Aqua Tail. So for the Drapion, if the Quagsire goes for the Aqua Tail, you can actually win the zeros. But I don't have Aqua Tail, I have Mud Bomb, and that's going to be a 1-hit KO. In comes Primeape. I can't afford to stay in and give them energy, so I hard pivot into the Drapion, hoping my opponent stays in. Even if they switch out, it's still the right play. I just cannot afford to give Primeape that much energy. Primeape's at the back-to-back close combats, and I'm going to shield both of them. I'm not even going to go for a cap tie. I'm just going to get my Poison Sting through on their -4 defense. That's basically going to put them at 1 HP, and in the back is going to be Diggersby, and since I have a Dugong in the back, I am now in a very good position. Aqua Tail after Aqua Tail crashing into the Diggersby. They shield the first, I'm firing off the second, they're going to no-shield the second, and now here is the switch into the Dugong. The grand reveal that my pivot out into the Drapion was a bluff. I was pivoting from a point of weakness. I was not strong in the back to the Primeape, but by pivoting into the Drapion, it made my opponent think that I was, so they ended up staying in, they ended up no-shielding as well. There's the catch attempt. Unfortunately, it is unsuccessful, and now I just have the back-to-back Icy Winds loaded, so there's just not really any win con for my opponent. Icy Wind lands, Ice Shard down, and game over. We see an absolute nightmare lead in the next match, Quagsire into Shadow Feraligatr. This is very, very bad. Feraligatr basically beats this entire team. Even if it's up even 1 turn versus the Drapion, it beats the Drapion. Here, I'm going to farm up till they get the back-to-back and go for a catch on a Dugong. I'm going to have to sacrifice a tremendous amount of resources just to neutralize Feraligatr, because if Feraligatr up this much energy, even against something like Dugong, is absolutely terrifying. Opponent is going to fire off the Hydro Cannon. This will not KO. The question is, can I survive the Shadow Claws to make it to the drill run? Getting this move would be massive, but I don't get there. The Shadow Claw KOs. Back in comes the Quagsire. I overfarm as much as I can, and I will go for the Mud Bomb. Opponent commits the shield, which is a pretty big surprise to me, but look at this. They completely got rid of my Dugong. They've gotten rid of basically 1 3/4 of my Quagsire, and man, I know Feraligatr is used a lot less at upper elo at the moment, so I wasn't really expecting it, but now that I see it, I'm honestly not in a great situation. I send in the Drapion into the Mandibuzz. In the back is Quagsire, but my opponent made a crucial error. They stayed in for a while with the Mandibuzz before sending in the Quagsire, and now I have so much energy on the Drapion. Drapion is going to be respecting the potential Earthquake. It is going to be the Sludge Bomb, however. I farm up to 100 energy, and I'm going for the Aqua Tail. This next one will be a CMP tied to a Sludge Bomb. I can't even afford to let them land a Sludge Bomb. I need this Drapion as healthy as possible because I need to be able to live multiple moves from the Mandibuzz. But first, we're going to go for a catch. We're able to get the catch onto the Quagsire. Back in comes the Drapion, and Drapion is going to have to throw so many Aqua Tails to have us escape this endgame. Can the opponent KO with the Snarl damage and the double Aerial Ace? That's what they're going to need. It's going to be close, but it looks like I am healthy enough that I should be able to tank the next, but not by much. I could feint to the next Snarl. Aqua Tail will connect. They throw on alignment as they know that I can keep going for one Poison Sting and the move to cycle reset them. I survive the Snarl. I get the Aqua Tail. I'm at the back-to-back. Is this going to be enough to KO? Come on, Shadow Drapion versus the Mandibuzz. Can we do the impossible? The answer is yes, and that is 1 HP on that Shadow Drapion, and we clutch an impossible win. Great lead in the next match, Shadow Quagsire versus a Shadow Drapion. Opponent save switches into a Shadow Annihilape, and this team is so weak to Annihilape. Oh my goodness. I really wasn't expecting to see a lot of them, but honestly, during the day portion of these battles, Annihilape was absolutely everywhere. It was completely inescapable. Annihilape felt like it was on basically every team that I was running into, and I wasn't really seeing that Azumarill Drapion core that I was expecting. I guess maybe those players have since climbed, but man, today was the Annihilape day. My opponent is going to make a nice catch catching onto their Drapion. Drapion, of course, going to be resisting Crunch, and they do get a 1 Poison Sting head start. I have 2 residual Mud Shots on the Quagsire, which means that it'll actually be a cap tied to the move that I don't win, so I'm going to bank a Mud Bomb for later and make a nice Aqua Tail catch onto the Dugong. But I'm still in a very bad position as I can't Ice Shard them down before they're able to get to a double Crunch. So I'm just going to tank the first. The Crunch is going to land. They get the debuff. In comes Annihilape. I fire off the Icy Wind to pick up the knockout, but that debuff is very unfortunate. I have no way of resetting it until my clock is up. Opponent is going to be waiting the clock for me. In the back is Superior, and I'm able to make the Icy Wind even despite the defense debuff. I now need to make the Sludge Bomb with that Quagsire, and I get there. I'm very low on health. How many Mud Shots can I get onto this Drapion? I pick up the knockout. In comes the Drapion. And I feint to the Poison Sting. If that Crunch debuff didn't happen, that game was a win. But unfortunately, it did. Great lead. Leading into a Clodsire. Opponent save switches into Annihilape. And again, Annihilape. My backline is so soft into this Pokemon. I fire off the Mud Bomb. Opponent commits a shield. They don't have to shield there, but they do end up doing so. I'm going to call a bait here. Either they Rage Fist and I survive it, or they close combat and then their defense is debuffed, and that makes it a lot easier for my backline to get rid of it. I'm going to send in the Drapion. They have a lot of energy loaded on this Annihilape. It's going to be boosted. Even if it's a Rage Fist, it's going to hurt, so I will commit the shield, under tap the Crunch because I just need to land this damage. They gave up both their shields already. This move is guaranteed to land. I get the farm down, but Annihilape has KO'd 1 3/4 Pokemon by itself. In comes Greninja, and that's not a Pokemon that I was expecting to see. Crunch will do some pretty nice damage. I'm only 3 away from the next Crunch. Oh, they get a catch onto the Clodsire. I was expecting them to just cap tie me, and I would have been very happy just to commit the shield and throw the Crunch to pick up the KO, but they make a nice play to go for a catch. I should still be in the driver's seat of this match, however. Even though Icy Wind does get same type attack bonus, Drill Run does do more damage, so I'm going for the Drill Run. I'm going to try and go for a Drill Run and a farm down play. They don't get to a move, and by keeping my Dugong as healthy as it is, not having taken a move from the Clodsire, I'm just winning here. There's no way for my opponent to clutch this. Night Slash does some pretty solid damage, but I tank it, and Drill Run will deliver the KO, and we're able to clutch a very close win. We move to the next match, and this is basically the worst lead you can see with this team. Even if you see a grass type on the lead, you can save switch into Drapion and try and play for energy lead on either Quagsire or the Dugong. But man, seeing a Dragonite who then calls my Aqua Tail bait, are you kidding me? Shadow Crunch basically one-shots that thing. They call the bait. Insane bravery from my opponent to do so. And just like that, this is basically just a loss. Because Dragonite teams are built to try and win the lead at all costs and then have a very strong meta core in the back. I send in the Quagsire because Superpower, of course, will only hit for neutral here, whereas it would hit for super effective on the Dugong. But now Quagsire is very, very low. They're going to send in Cresselia. In the back is Toxapex. And yeah, there's just no hope, so I will concede the match. Hopping into the final match, unfortunately, we did not get to run into an Azumarill with the Quagsire, but we will get to see a Gastrodon. Gastrodon throws on alignment here, which I was pretty surprised at. They go for the Earth Power, but they threw it right away, and that gives me a free Mud Shot, which is very nice. One and the move is going to connect. I'm going for another one in the move here. This Mud Bomb will be lethal unless they decide to shield. They're going to sacrifice the Gastrodon. They're going to bring in Feraligatr, and we know Feraligatr is a problem spot for this team. There's two potential plays that I can do here. I can try and catch onto the Dugong when I get the move, or I can commit and assume they're going for the farm down. I decide the latter. I say they're going to try for the farm down, so I commit to the move, and now I'm able to force both shields, and their energy is going to be walled by the Dugong. Even though Dugong has a terrible matchup against Feraligatr, Feraligatr's energy is not going to do a lot here. In comes Dedenne, and I should be in a pretty good spot. I can go for a Drill Run, slight undercharge, and then get a Poison Sting down, and then I'll be good to go. So I fire off the Drill Run, go for the undercharge. That does way less than I expected. Oh no, they must have got the Parabolic Charge defense boost, and I just was not looking. This forces my hand. I now have to throw an Aqua Tail. I don't have energy for the Feraligatr, but I'm still very healthy. Feraligatr goes for the Hydro Cannon, massive damage, but they cannot farm down. Drapion makes the crunch. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. All in all, I did have quite a bit of fun with this team. I believe over the 4 sets that I played with it, I went 12-8. So I did go positive. I do think this team definitely underestimated the amount of Annihilapes that I saw today. Anytime I saw Annihilape, it was a very difficult battle where I more or less had to use almost 2 of my 3 Pokemon to destroy the Annihilape, and then try and rely on the third to sweep, which I was able to do sometime, but it's not always a guaranteed winning scenario. So if I had to try it again, I do think that I would build a bit stronger against Annihilape because that Pokemon was absolutely everywhere today. As far as the actual Quagsire, shockingly enough, I feel like the Quagsire moveset was not bad. I mean, the original Aqua Tail Stone Edge is still going to be preferred because that's the more meta moveset, but this moveset really caught people off guard, and I really like trying to think outside the box when it comes to breaking top meta cores, and I'd say Mud Bomb, Sludge Bomb, Shadow Quagsire definitely qualifies. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.